would be here, but there is a handout at number 50 of your books.
Okay. Thank you, Ron. Okay. Thank you, Priscilla. Belinda Warren. And Belinda is going to take the time of 3 other people, and she wants to talk about Florida Medical Association wrongful death. Okay. You have the microphone, Belinda. Thank you.
Sorry?
You have the microphone.
Thank you. Well, my name is Belinda Warren, and I'm here today to discuss a law whose very existence is barbaric and inexcusable. The Florida Medical Rights Association suggests that under the Wrongful Death Act, if a deceased is unmarried and has no minor children, healthcare providers may commit medical negligence causing death without consequence. Let me repeat that. Healthcare providers may commit medical negligence without consequence. And I'd like to ask each of you, how is this tolerable? I'd like to ask each of you, how is it legal? I would like to ask, what do you intend to do to change this law? And I would like to ask you to waste no time in making this an essential change. And let's consider what this law says. This law says if you have a child and that child is, say, 26 and has no children, no spouse, just doing life, going to school, seeing the world, dating, such a thing should happen to them, you can do nothing. There's no justice, there's no peace. It says if your parent has no children under the age of 26, no spouse, their life has no value. It says once you are 26 years of age, you no longer need your parents, and your feelings are inconsequential. What are my goals here today? My goals here today is to ask you to respond, to ask each and every one of you to promise with conviction that this law will be among the first to change, as life must have a greater value than paper money. To ask each of you to hold accountable all of those responsible for secreting such a law into place. To ask you to question the integrity of the doctors, the hospitals, the insurance companies, and the lobbyists, as you are essentially giving them a license to kill. I'm asking you to promise to make right with the people what has been allowed to be wrong, to take responsibility for moving any and all such laws that allow for the death of another without repercussion to the medical professional, to allow that he or she is to be found innocent or guilty in a court of law, allowing an open door to justice for anyone who may believe that their loved ones may have been a victim of malpractice or wrongful death. To accept that this is the responsibility that you took on as a state representative, and to not leave us as the people you promised to serve waiting not one more day for justice. And I ask that you would give me just a moment to tell you what happened to us. Forgive me.
Take your time.
My mother was one of the most beautiful people I knew. She taught us kindness, forgiveness, love, generosity, humility, and most of all, humor. She had an aneurysm, and we knew it. It had hardly grown over the years. She had had the same doctor for many of those years. They would do a $295 MRI, forgive me, and tell us if it had grown. The state switched her insurance, which forced her to change her doctor. Could you read that?
I don't have my...
We believe without question that the doctors, without consideration for patients' current medical conditions, convinced patients to agree with what they called routine procedures that was truthfully invasive, speaking to an elderly person who believes they matter and that their care should be of no worry, correct? The simple procedure was putting a tube through her arteries to get better look at the aneurysm, and the aneurysm cannot be coiled until it's 7. My mother's was only 5. It gave them no reason to go in. Lillian had already had a massive heart attack, not even being a doctor. Any of us can say that the buildup of plaque in her arteries, it's not a place we should stick anything, as the risk of knocking the plaque loose was too large. And what happened? Exactly that. The plaque broke loose and shot like a shotgun into her brain, 42 different directions, everywhere it landed, causing a stroke. Then she had a massive seizure. My mother was left with 1% brain activity. What's the kicker? The aneurysm never burst. 15 days my mother laid in that hospital with her children, not knowing what to do. When we took her off life support, she suffered. You'll never know the pain so deep and so unerasable in your heart and mind to watch your mother die for 15 long minutes, suffering, unable to breathe, gasping for air, alone in her mind, knowing nothing or anyone or why. The only thing all of her 5 children and loving daughter-in-laws and family could do was just hold her every moment until she left us. And no one will take responsibility, and no one is making anyone take responsibility, and this is a real, true law. I'm just asking you to really consider this law and what it really, truly says. How many in this room are married? Can you raise your hand? How many have children? How many don't have either? Do you know that you're not safe? If something happens to you in a hospital, no one can file wrongful death or malpractice, and this is not okay. And it must change. And I will not give up now, nor ever will I give up. I will force this law to change, no matter what I have to do. And I ask that you join me, every one of you, in fighting this matter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Warren, for your presentation, and we're sorry for your loss.